Okay. A very good morning to everyone present here, and with warm greetings, it gives me a great pleasure to extend a warm welcome on behalf of Department of Computer Science and Engineering, conducting a one-day IIC webinar on how to become an Android developer by our resource person and also very brightest alumni, Mr. Yashwant Vidari. Our students are very privileged to have you with us and learn, able to learn from your experiences. So I would like to hand over the mic to Ms. Simran Suri, our coordinator, student coordinator of IIC.
Thank you, ma'am. A very good morning to everyone and all the faculty members and my dear friends. It's a fine day to learn and embolden ourselves. I, Simran Suri, the Head Student Coordinator of Institution Innovation Council, welcome you all to the 7th Alumni Talk. Today we are having Mr. Yashwant Amakras as our special guest. He has completed his bachelor's in computer science engineering from KCC in the year 2019. He is the incoming software developer engineer at Hike Private Limited and has also previously worked with To The New, which is a premium digital technology company, Integrity Foundation, and National Center of Seismology. He has gained countless achievements in his young and bright career so far, like creating many projects in the field of Android app development, machine learning, artificial intelligence. Along with this, he has taken part in many hackathons and has achieved many rewards and recognition. We all welcome you, sir. Now, I would like to pass on to Yashwant, sir, to guide us and share his experience.
Definitely. Thank you. Thank you very much, Simran, and thank you, Lakshita ma'am. Thank you for your kind words. And yeah, I guess I don't need any introduction now. So yeah, introducing myself, I'm Yashwant. Let me share my presentation. So we'll start with. So is it visible? I'm assuming the presentation might be visible now. Okay. Okay. So today's topic is how to become an Android developer, and I would like to change this slide. And now, so about me, I am an incoming software development engineer at Hike Private Limited. If you all know about Hike, and I am an Android developer with more than 2.5 years of experience, and I have contributed in Android open source in Java and Kotlin's open source technologies. And I am a PyCon Junior finalist and an ACM ICPC regionalist 2017. If you remember Saurabh Pratik from earlier webinars, so he was a participant with me only in ICPC regionalist. Okay, next. I would like to cover these topics today. I would like you to know my journey of being an Android developer and then the roadmap which I can share with you to become an Android developer. And definitely the value of internships, open source, DSA, all these things. And I'll also share some useful resources, and we can, after that, we can do some Q&A regarding. Okay. Okay. So my journey, we'll start with my journey. So yeah, I started Python programming in school, from school. I am a computer science major from school, and I started Python programming. So this, if you all know about CodeChef.com, so they've organized a contest called PyCon Junior. So basically, that is a competition programming that they organized it, and it was held at Triple IT Delhi. So I was qualified in the finals, and I have secured 11th position somewhere. And yeah, so that's how it started. And after that, I was researching in college like what to do with my Python skill. Then I started with machine learning. machine learning is a well-balanced skill in Python. It is then after that I've also did some internships in Python data analytics and web development in National Center for Seismology regarding earthquakes. Okay. After that, I've got involved in competitive programming with Saurav and some other friends, and we've qualified for 2017 ACM ICPC regionals in Chennai, and that was like we had a failed attempt in 2016 also. I wanted to know that yeah. Okay, then after that, so yeah, this is my picture which I have pasted of PyCon Junior Finals. Okay. So then after that, this is our photo of ACM ICPC regionals in Chennai in 2017. You must be wondering what this first picture is of this red balloon. So this is an interesting fact I would like to share with all of you, is that whenever you solve a problem there in the regionals, in the competition, you get a balloon on your chair. The number of questions are like 7 or 8, and like as you solve through the process problems, you will get balloons. So yeah, this is a kind of motivation which they give. Okay. Yeah. Okay. So after that, ICPC, I learned Android app development. I thought that machine learning is not enough, or maybe I should be using a backup. I should be learn something as a backup technology or some exploration I need. So I learned Android app development, and then I started uh, competing in this competing in this competitions like Hacktoberfest, which organized by GitHub and all. So I've contributed in open source through them, like in Android, Java, and Kotlin. So yeah, and after that I have also did an internship as an Android developer, so that gave me the industry exposure of how Android developers are like, and what do we do in a day. And ultimately I've got a campus placement as an Android developer only, not as a Python developer. That is the main ultimate point. Like I have not started as an Android developer, and although I'm ended up as Android developer. Okay. After that, okay. So I would like to share you all the roadmap to become an Android developer. Okay. So first point is, don't become an Android developer first. So to each and every student, my suggestion is that don't become an Android developer first. Focus on your core CS subjects. First, focus on your core CS subjects like operating systems, database management systems, SQL, and computer networks, compiler design, these subjects, which are definitely going to improve your basics. Okay. And then start learning core Java and data structures and algorithms, so that they might help you build your problem solving capability. And start learning core Java. I'll say learn thoroughly, learn it thoroughly, and it will be used in various places. You will be benefiting from that. After that, I'll suggest you to participate in weekly challenges and monthly challenges. On there are many websites like HackerRank, HackerEarth, CodeChef, LeetCode, and yeah, there are so many websites. I would like to you can search them, and you should participate in these kind of challenges to enhance your problem solving capability. So this problem solving capability which I'm focusing on is the thing which you are going to need it to clear your interviews. So this is the main thing. And after that, you can start learning Android developer, create some cool projects, and yeah, you can add them to your GitHub and show around the world that I have did something in Android also. And Android developer, by the way, is a very easy thing if you can learn and if you can implement your projects, because this is the thing you can show them in your phones. So yeah. And also I will pressure on to learn some other technologies like blockchain. Nowadays, we have so many technologies like blockchain and cryptocurrency. How to make cryptocurrency? There are so many ways you can learn through. Yeah. Then machine learning is one other thing which you can learn. Yeah. So Android development is just a application of Java. I'll not force you to learn Android only. If you are learning Java, then you can also explore other options. So yeah. Next, we'll come on to value of internships, open source DSA. So basically, these are the core crux. Everybody knows them. These are the core crux. And if you know the basics right, you can learn anything in just a matter of time. I'll definitely tell you what is the use of these subjects in your daily life as an Android developer. Okay. So yeah, definitely, as I've said, focus more on academic subjects like operating systems, compiler design, computer networks. So operating systems, multi-threading, these all comes into the play when you are developing an app in Android. You have to manage the threads, you have to manage the tasks. So definitely these all going to help you in a long run. The compiler design will help you decide how to use Kotlin, how to use Java in like at how much extent you want to use them. Okay. Any questions till now?
So I guess we can take up all the questions.
Take it afterwards. Okay, no problem. Okay. And after that, as I've said, you have to contribute. You have to. This is, I guess, I should make this mandatory. You have to contribute to open source projects, as many as you can. This will definitely improve your game in Android development or any other development per se. You can you should participate in these competitions like Hacktoberfest. There are rewards in Hacktoberfest. Like if you submit 5 pull requests, you will get a T-shirt. So yeah, that is fun and also a learning. So you should do that, and definitely create your own projects, own mini projects. Like you can create some location tracker like WhatsApp live location, and so many things that are very easy to implement. Okay, those are. And yeah, and also do as many internships you can.
So sorry to interrupt. I guess your mic is muted.
Now it is audible.
Yes, sir.
Okay, so okay, so I was here when the mic was muted.
You were telling about doing more and more internships.
Okay, yeah, definitely. Do internships as many as you can. They will definitely connect you with the real software development world. You'll get a lot of exposure in how the teams work and how we distribute our work. What do we do daily? So yeah, and learn data structures and algorithm. I cannot focus more on learning them. You have to learn data structures and algorithm because they are the only key to clear the interviews. Not only, but yeah, definitely the major one. Okay. And yeah, I'm concluding this presentation with some useful resources. I'll share with the coordinator. uh, yeah, you can check them out. Okay. And yeah, thank you very much. Thank you for inviting me, and I'm very glad to do this presentation today. Yeah, any questions? Priyanka, yeah. So should I unmute you? You can unmute yourself, I guess.
Hello.
Yeah, hello. Hello. Your voice is not audible.
Hello.
Yes, Priyanka.
Am I audible?
Yes. Now you're
Sir,
audible.
I'm asking which language for Android development will be is popular nowadays and which will be popular in future. Can you
Oh,
tell?
yeah. Okay. Very good question. Okay, so so many many people will tell you different things that learn Kotlin or learn Java or something like that, or learn Flutter or learn React Native. So basically, if you learn React Native and Flutter, so you can those are hybrid languages. So basically, you can make iOS and Android apps on the same platform. That is called cross-platform development. Okay,
Yes,
and
sir. Sir,
yes,
actually, I have
yes.
Java, Kotlin, and Flutter, but I'm confused in which to go first.
Are you
So
starting with Android?
no,
No.
like I have developed some projects in Flutter as well as Kotlin as well as Java also. But
Okay.
I'm confused at what is going on in the market or in
Okay.
the companies.
Correct. Okay. So I'll suggest everyone to, if they are starting with Android development, then learn Java first. Learn core Java. I have took more than 5 interviews in my current organization of freshers only, but I have seen that their core Java is so weak. So you should more focus more on your basics, that is core Java. After that, I'll suggest to start Android development with Java only, not with Kotlin. I know that Kotlin is in market, as in demand right now, but I suggest you to start with Java, make some projects in Java. After that, try converting those projects into Java, into Kotlin from Java. So in that case, you will learn more about how Java and Kotlin works, the Kotlin interoperability, that feature. Okay, that is the thing. And Flutter is an added advantage. It is an added advantage, I'll say. That is not mandatory to learn anything. Nowadays, Flutter is also becoming popular, but yeah, that is your choice. If that is a whole new different technology, so yeah, that is based upon your choice. For Android, for native Android development, I'll recommend start with Java first. And after that, if you feel that there is nothing to learn in Java, then you can start with Kotlin.
Okay, sir. Thank you, sir.
Hope you get your answer. I have to-
Sir, am I audible?
Yes.
Sir, I would like to know that what are the challenges you encountered initially as an intern and now you are encountering in your job, sir, comparing to it.
Challenges.
Yes, sir. Based on, sir, making some projects or either time, what are the factors which are affecting the current job as well as earlier internships, sir?
Okay. So if I count my mistakes, there are a lot. Okay. So I have faced challenges because of my, I guess, mistakes. Like I haven't focused more on DSA, and I haven't focused more on core subjects. Those are very important. And actually, those also, due to them, I face challenges in internships. Like there was a challenge like multi-threading, and I have to study all night or some days to solve that problem. So I don't think you should be deserving that. So that's why you should learn these core subjects, and I'm pressuring on them. That's why. And in job, I don't think I have faced any challenges regarding. So you face daily challenges. You solve daily problems. So I don't think those will matter in long run. So yeah.
Okay, sir. Thank you.
Yeah. Any other person?
So I have a question. What
Definitely.
influenced you to be an Android developer?
One second. Can you repeat your question?
Yeah, what influenced you to be an Android developer? As there are many
Uh,
options for a computer science student. So
okay.
at initial days, what influenced you the most?
Okay. What influenced me? Okay. So Android development is one such thing you can show to your friends. You can make an Android app and you can show them to your friends. Everyone, you can showcase it, and it is a good technology to learn and easy to implement, and you can create as many projects as you can. Like, you can add them to your portfolio, you can publish them into the Play Store and show the ratings and downloads in your resume. So this was affecting the resumes then, and that's why I chose to learn Android development. Yeah. Any other questions?
Sir, I heard that Kotlin and Java are very similar. So, sir, how much similar are they? Like, if
Okay.
someone knows Java, how much more does he need to learn to get on Kotlin?
If you really know Java, then Kotlin is nothing. Okay. If I have to say in short, if you really know Java well, like if you know what static is, if you know what are immutable, what are strings, what are integers, what are uh, classes, okay, your OOPS concepts. If you know them really well, then you'll in no matter like in matter of time, just a matter of time, you can learn Kotlin, and it's very easy. I suggest, yeah.
So right now I know Python and I'm learning SQL and machine language. So sir, how much
Machine language.
machine learning actually? I'm
Okay.
doing a course in machine learning and SQL.
Okay.
How much time should it take to learn Java?
See, time depends on person to person, but I will suggest you to dedicate at least a 1 or 2 months time, so that you can explore enough, and maybe you can think that this is your thing or not. You can decide. You have to try at least 2 months of Android app development.
Okay, thank you.
Any other questions?
I think Yashwant, why not you give some kind of an idea about your, workplace and what would be your role in the upcoming position, and kind of a
Okay,
motivation so that they would be able to get some
definitely.
knowledge about that how corporate sector is doing in
Okay.
Android development.
Okay, regarding any corporate sector, if someone have any questions, I can answer them. So yeah, discussing about what do we do in daily. Okay, I can tell that what do we do daily. So yeah, basically you have to, in each and every project in corporate life, you have to uh, attend daily Scrum meetings, because nowadays all projects are done in Agile only. So I will recommend you to learn Agile in your college only. I guess that is a part of software engineering subject. So yeah, waterfall model and all. So this will help you in organizing your work and everything. Uh, and apart from that, we attend daily scrums, and we distribute our work. Okay. If so, basically, what I do is I'm a lead contributor in Tata Sky's code and Tata Sky's OTT Android app, if someone have used in my current organization. And the notifications you see are created by me, if that helps. And you can also do that too. And I think just you need to learn Android development, and yeah, you're good to go. And okay, adding to my daily life. So as I've said that I'm a lead contributor in Tata Sky app. So what we do is we daily check our live app for crashes. You must have encountered crashes in many of your Android apps. So what do we do about them? So that is what we do. There is a tool called Crashlytics. We analyze how the crashes happen, and yeah, we create bugs for them and we solve them. We solve them daily, and yeah, that is the thing, like how we create robust apps. So yeah, one thing is that which we do daily. And apart from that, we create new features like um, Amazon Fire TV Sticks recommendation row and something like that, if you have used Amazon Fire TV Stick. So yeah, there are many fields in Android, many things in Android development you can know.
Sir, what tool or IDE is used in the companies nowadays for Android development?
So we use Android Studio only. There is no need, like people think that Eclipse might be used or something else. So that is not important actually, but generally Android Studio is used.
बच्चों के लिए आपको गाना रहता है बच्चों वाला काम पिछली बार में काम किया ये करना है भाई क्या बात कर रहे हो तुम्हें डालना जब
Okay, any other questions? Like any other questions, like for
Sir?
my, yeah, definitely.
So, do Android developers get time to learn on the job, or it's a quick expectation from the authority? Like, do they get
Wow.
a training period?
Okay. They might give a training period or not. That depends on totally the company. If you are joining some company like TCS, some service-based company, maybe they will train you in Android development. And okay, so
Yes, sir. I was asking about companies like TCS or Microsoft.
yes. So they might give you. So okay, Microsoft and TCS are a very different companies. Like okay, so Microsoft is a product-based company and TCS is a service-based company. You might know. So in product-based companies, I don't think they'll teach you. They'll train you like Microsoft or Amazon or companies like that, Hike per se. So they'll not teach you. They'll not train you in Android. They expect from you that you will be knowing Android development, and in while developing, you will also be trained. Like you can learn so much when you are developing with live projects. So yeah.
Okay, sir. Thank you.
Okay.
So, sir,
Yeah.
I have a question. Actually, I want to ask that first year students have their startup. So, what must be the first step for them to be a Android developer?
First step is, as I've said, learn core Java. Learn core Java thoroughly. Learn multi-threading. Learn operating systems. I suggest that these subjects, the core Android, the core OS, the core engineering subjects, the computer science subjects, which I guess come in third year or fourth year, I'll recommend you to start learning them by second year. Like just have a knowledge around that. I'm not saying deep dive into those subjects, but you should have some knowledge around that, and focus more on data structures and learn Java. And after that, if you feel that I'm comfortable in Java, I'm comfortable in core Java, then start to make some projects in Android. Create a button, create a interface, download some interfaces, search for some easy interfaces you can build, and try to replicate them. Try to replicate WhatsApp, and yeah, things like that. So you can do it. I've also done it, so you can also. So yeah, that is not an issue.
What are the various stages of placement in Hike Messenger for computer science students?
Yes, please come again.
What are the various stages of placement in Hike Messenger for computer science students?
Okay, various stages. Okay, I'm assuming by various stages you mean the rounds which I've attended. Okay, so interviewed. Okay, so there are 5 rounds for a fresher. If you are joining as a fresher, first round is of data structures and algorithms. As I said, these are the key to clear your interviews. Second round was also data structures and algorithms, and the third round was a little bit of system design. If you know about system design, uh, do anybody know what system design is, or should I introduce you to system design? Okay, so I'm assuming nobody knows. Okay,
No.
okay, no
It
problem.
is better if you give some kind of an idea.
Yes. Okay, so in data structures and algorithms, they'll ask you questions like based on binary trees, binary search trees. I'm hoping that you have learned them, you have studied in your academics about them. So yeah, like binary search trees, dynamic programming, these kind of questions they ask, and you have to be prepared for them and all. After that, you have to face the system design round. So basically, system design. What is system design? System design is a technique by which you create systems. Like they'll tell you, the interviewer will tell you that create a design WhatsApp. So you will ask for the requirements. You will ask for the constraints. What you have to build, like how the product should look like, what features you want to inculcate, like only the chat. Since WhatsApp is a chat app, so do you want to only create one-to-one chat, or you want to create multiple, like you want to create group chat? So yeah, those are the kind of requirements which interviewer give to you. So basically, when I was interviewing with Hike, something like that only come up, because Hike is also a chat app, and they wanted me to experiment around. Like they wanted me to, like, they judged me on the basis that do I know the system, how chat app works, how the backend works in chat app. Okay, so yeah, after that there is an Android basics round. So they asked me Android related questions, like XML related questions, Java related questions, Kotlin related questions, and my projects. They've asked me my projects. What did I do in those stuff like that? And okay, okay. After that, 3 rounds are done, and after that we've had a core Android round, where Android with data structures are these type of questions are asked. So they have merged Android and data structures like questions. They've asked me around what. So I cannot disclose the question exactly, but yeah. So there are some questions which they interlink in Android with data structures. So you should learn thoroughly your data structure, so that you can easily answer that kind of questions. And after that, I guess the final round was there. Yeah, Hike has a special round, special last round, which is based on operating systems and multi-threading. So that the core subjects helped me a lot in clearing that interview. So they ask you questions like what will happen if I start the thread twice, or what will happen if I interrupt a thread, how will I switch threads. So these kind of things they will ask. So yeah, okay. So yeah,
गुड मॉर्निंग भैया।
yes.
भैया मैं अभी फर्स्ट ईयर में हूँ, तो मुझे कुछ समझ में नहीं आ रहा है कि एंड्रॉइड डेवलपमेंट में जाओ, वेब डेवलपमेंट में जाओ, फिर गेम डेवलपमेंट में जाओ, तो मतलब कैसे पता करूँ?
Okay. So अच्छा, एंड्रॉइड डेवलपमेंट में जाओ या वेब डेवलपमेंट. ओके, आई सजेस्ट कि आप सब ट्राई करो एक बार. एंड्रॉइड ऐप डेवलपमेंट में आप since you are in first year, Android में आप 2 months दो, then web में आप 2 months दो. At least 2 months you should give to a technology and try it out. Maybe आपको पसंद आए और you can create projects in them. So yeah, मैं तो बोलूँगा कि you should try each and every technology out there. Since there are only 4 years in your BTech, you should try each and everything.
Okay, भैया.
And I can't focus more on data structures. You have to learn them. Those are the only thing which will clear your interviews.
Bhaiya, you mentioned that you only Python in the beginning. So where did you learn Java from, or where would you recommend that we learn from Java? Right.
Okay. So based on this, I've done a mistake in my graduation, in my BTech. That is, we thought that learning through courses, buying courses, is just a waste of money and time. Buying 20,000, like there are courses, like I don't like to take names of those courses, but there are websites like which sell you courses to learn Java, learn Android for 25,000. So I don't think you should take them. There are so many resources out there in internet. You just type learn Java in YouTube, and I've also added some resources in my presentation. I'll share it with coordinator if you like. So you can learn from there. You can learn Java from there, and practice it. Yeah, learn Java and practice. There are so many, like there are so many websites like Java T Point and all. So you can learn Java from there. And don't fall in this trap of the high paid courses. You should try courses. I'm not against paid courses. I'm saying that I have made a mistake, I guess, by not learning. I'm not participating in those courses, not enrolling in on those kind of courses. But you can take courses maybe ranging from 1 to 5,000. Up to 5,000, you can take some courses. You should learn Android app development from Udemy. So there are so many courses in Udemy also, which can like from where you can learn Java in maybe 500 or so. So yeah, learn from there, I'll suggest.
So I should probably learn something before I get into a course, right?
In like which course? In Android course?
Suppose like if I want to learn Java, I should prepare something before I start a course.
Yeah, you should be familiar with. The language. I'll suggest. In that kind, you can. Yes.
Yes. If I already know a language, so
Okay.
do I need the certificate, or should I just go and start working on it?
About certificates, if you are asking, so I'll tell you a harsh reality that certificates don't matter. Your skill matters. Your only skill matters. And if you are learning your Android development good, you have good academics, like you are good in academics, and everyone will get a chance. And you can showcase your skill only, not your certificate. Okay. Like for example, if I take, I have a Java core certificate in first year, but when coming to final year, I was I kind of forget what Java was. So things happen like that, and yeah, certificates don't matter. Certificates are just, I guess, a measure to check that you have done this course. So that is kind of a participation certificate, and doesn't really matter, in my opinion. You should focus more on your skill development, and yeah, I'll suggest certificates doesn't matter. Yeah.
Sir, and other languages also offer Android development. Like I can also develop an Android app on Python, but does that really have a market there?
Okay.
The investment time is there.
Okay, so Android development by Python is not yet popular. I don't know, like I haven't developed, and the market, like the in-demand market, doesn't need Python to develop apps, since there is native technology to develop them. So yeah, you can like you should try Flutter then if you are really interested in hybrid apps, and you should try React Native, which will also help you in your web development game. So yeah, in that kind you can learn them.
Okay, thank you, Ria.
So, will you please tell
Leah?
us about your most favorite
Yes.
or most successful project you have done yet?
Okay, most successful project in corporate, in professional life, I have career, and I have done. I have. If you've heard of this app called View, the View OTT app. So there's a OTT app, View. So the most successful one was that, and we have created it from scratch and made it live on the Play Store, and there are, I guess, more than 5 lakh downloads for that. And yeah, uh, after that I have also contributed in Tata Sky's OTT app. I've created their player, the video player which you see, and after that I have also created the notifications for them. So yeah, things like that. So success, so I guess there is no successful project. You have to contribute more to make it successful by yourself. So yeah.
Or your favorite or
And yeah, one more thing I would like to add. Yeah, sorry. So one more thing I would like to add is that in companies, like when you are in a project, so for freshers, they allot a very less amount of work. So if you want to learn, if you want to grow in your career, I will suggest you to do take more work, take more responsibility in your early stages of a career, so that you can learn a lot. And yeah, yes, yeah, that's it. Yeah, you were asking something.
yeah, I was asking that which project you enjoyed the most? Developing
Which
which
project?
app?
Okay, so I have developed so many apps like okay. Basically, I've enjoyed most in OTT apps. So in my current organization, I am known as like I am currently known as the OTT guy. So basically, I love developing these video players, and I have developed so many players like for Tata Sky, for View, for your some apps called AHA. So there is an app in Play Store that is called AHA, and we've also developed some Amazon's video player, some contribution in Android, Amazon's video player, the Prime Videos player. So yeah, I've loved to develop it. Yeah, some other was hello.
Sir, I have a question.
Yes, yes.
Sir, like after BTech, you pursued your job. You didn't go for masters. So,
Correct.
is there anything like in the companies like if you have done masters, they will prefer you over the BTech ones or something like that? Yeah,
Okay.
because I'm a fourth year student, I'm confused. I should go for masters or I should go for experience.
Okay. Are you focusing masters in India only?
Yes.
Okay. In that case, okay. So what I have did is I've decided not to do masters. Now only I am saying that. Actually, when you start pursuing your software engineering career, I don't think you will be needing much of the academic advancements like masters. So masters, okay, I'll suggest you that focus on your skills, focus on the development job, because you are a software developer. If you want to become a software developer, you should focus on your software development skills. Like you should learn some language or something like that. and after masters also you have to learn them, otherwise you cannot be, you could not make it to uh, the the software development jobs. So I'll suggest you wait for your masters and try some software development job, and if you like it, I guess that is your answer then. And that's why also I added that you should do some internships. I hope you have done some internships since you are in final year. And okay, one thing also doesn't matter, that if you are in your final year, it doesn't matter that you want to do a job or you want to do an internship. You can also do an internship after your final year, so there is no hurry to do a job. So I think you should try some internships and find out if that is exciting for you. If not, you can anytime switch to your masters, and yeah.
Okay, thank you. And do like these things like MBA or something business administrating things will help me in future?
Okay.
Like
Do you want
generally
to stay
people
in
do
this
that
software
after
development?
BTech.
Okay. If you want to stay in software development career, I will say that those will not definitely help you. MBA is a degree for business administration. So it will lead to you, it will pave a new path for you in software. If so, most software developers do MBA in their, like after they have 10 years or so experience, to try their will in product management. So there is a thing called product management. You are the product manager, you are the product owner basically. If company is creating some product, like basically some game, there are so many games, so you can become a product owner for that after doing MBA. So there are fresher careers for that also, but more experienced ones are preferred over freshers, definitely in that case. So yeah, you can try your luck in, if you are doing MBA only, you can try your luck in product management if you really want to come in software development. Yeah.
Thank you.
I think Yashwant, you are also connected with ACM, right?
Yes, exactly.
So is it possible if you give some kind of an idea to our students?
Okay, about ACM. So I've been part of ACM like 2-3 times. I have took some regional. I was competing in regional and regionals in Chennai. Uh, yeah, and I will suggest everyone to definitely participate in those kind of competitions. Those will definitely improve your language game and your data structures game. Okay, and yeah. Yes, there's nothing much to say in that, but yeah, you should try competitive programming. You should try websites like CodeChef, where you can participate in monthly challenges, weekly challenges. So yeah. I guess, yeah.
Any other questions?
So I have a question, but it's not very important.
No problem. If it is around Android, if it is around software, then you can ask.
So actually, I wanted to ask that people just, that do a person need to be a fast typer to be a good coder?
Can you repeat?
I said, should I be a fast typer to be a good coder?
Okay. See, fast typing, touch typing really makes you efficient in terms of time saving. Like you'll save much time. But this programming thing is definitely a mind game. So you have to think first before. Like you have heard this quote, I guess. Think before you write. Think before you write the code. Okay. So yeah, you can write it, like you can type very fast. If you can type very fast, you can write code, but I guess it will create a lot of bugs. So in professional, in in software engineering jobs, we prefer more on test-driven development. So what test-driven development is that whenever you are creating a feature, you create some unit tests. Okay, what are unit tests if nobody knows? So unit testing is a technique where developer only tests their code for any single point of failure or multiple point of failure. Okay, like for example, uh, method, there is a function which outputs even or the number is even or odd. So you test, you pass it various inputs and check that if the output is correct or not. So that is unit tests. Okay. So I was talking about TDD, test driven development. So you have to write unit test cases beforehand. Beforehand, you develop a feature so that you can try it out. Like for any most bugs, you can try it out, and there will be less bugs in your code. So in this case, fast typing really doesn't matter. So yeah.
Okay, so in conclusion, it does not matter.
Can you repeat?
So it does not matter. Like, if I write around 30 to 40 words per minute, it will be the same as someone who writes around.
I guess average typer writes 30 to 40 words per minute. I also write 30 words per minute, but it doesn't affect. I don't think that will. Yeah, your typing speed doesn't matter. Yeah.
So if you want to be in the domains
Hello.
like app development, web development, or data science related
Okay.
fields, so is competitive programming necessary or important?
Okay. So I guess the main question is the competitive programming useful or important? Okay. See, the competitive programming is, I don't think it is that much useful in your development career. Okay. So when you develop apps, you don't need competitive programming. You just need to know data structures and algorithm. Data structures and algorithm are a must to know, I think. But in competitive programming, what happens is everything then matters about time and speed, about like how optimized your algorithm is. Okay. And I don't think competitive program. Okay, the competitive programming, I will, although recommend you to learn competitive programming, do something in that field, and because that will definitely improve your data structures game, and yeah, it will make you a really good thinker. You can become a good thinker. You can solve difficult problems very quickly, and that with that skill will help you to clear your interviews. So yeah. So basically, competitive programming most people does is because to clear interviews. So yeah.
Okay, so
Sir,
Yes. Yes.
like you have said, and everyone said that data structures and algorithms are very important to crack the
Yes. Yes.
interview and for ethical
Correct.
hacking. Sir, I'm in first year and I have seen some videos about data structures.
Mm-hmm.
There are too many languages in which we do data structures and algorithms.
Correct.
So, which language you prefer? So we
Okay.
have to do it.
Okay. So I started with Python. As I've said, like I've been learning Python since my school time. So I started with Python. Python is very easy to learn and implement. Okay. In interviews also, your coding language doesn't matter. Your logic matters. If you are writing perfect code and if you are writing the code which can run instantly without any bugs, so that will work anyway. So it is your choice to. Okay. Why I said that learn Java only or something like that if you want to go into the field of Android development. So learning Java also matters. Like you can benefit from that language in your competitive programming, in data structures. You can use them, and also there is an application which is Android, so you can involve in that also. So ultimately, language, programming language doesn't matter in which language you are coding, as long as you can explain that code to your interviewer. Okay. And yeah, you can code it in Java also, and you can code it in Python also. And if you want that only one language you want to learn, you should learn Java, and then you can learn Android. Yeah. So those, yeah. Any other questions?
Hello, sir. Am I
Yes.
audible?
Yes, yes.
Sir, I'm interested in knowing that why Hike uses MongoDB as its database, not other databases like MySQL and
Okay.
Oracle Cloud.
Okay. So basically, MongoDB is a NoSQL database, as you know, I guess. I hope you know that MongoDB is a NoSQL database. And okay, MongoDB is really fast in its process times. Okay. If you want to know more details about MongoDB, like why that is so fast, I guess you should study about it. I guess MongoDB is a skill you should have. Okay. Companies ask for a SQL, like companies prefer you if you know SQL database and a NoSQL database, things like that. And yeah, why does Hike prefer over that? So basically, they have decided over like, okay. So when I was talking about system design, the database choice also comes into the picture. So what kind of database you choose? Okay. So if you choose a NoSQL database, that should be compatible with your data. That should be compatible, like that should make your processing faster. That's why they have chosen MongoDB. So this all comes into the basic architecture of your app, your backend. Okay. So those kind of things decide which database will a company choose. Hope you get your answer.
So, sir, another one is as Hike is getting popular day by day, so how that much data is managed? Like there is very much of data.
Okay. So for that also, I'll suggest you to explore around system design, high level system design, low level system design. So as I've said, learn data structures and algorithms. So they highly value the people who knows data structures and algorithms, who are into competitive programming, because they know how to make things fast, how to make things run fast in less time, in less memory, in like using less resources. So yeah, you should explore around system design. So that is a part of scalability, and you should know about that. You should explore that. By yourself, I guess.
Okay, thank you, sir.
Okay. I think questions are done.
Okay, so I guess there are no more questions now.
When I practice with the two languages at a time, I mostly mix their syntax, which ultimately leads to error. For example, sometimes I use Python or Java syntax in C++.
Yeah, can you repeat your question? Your voice was muffled.
I'm saying that when I practice with more than two languages at a time, I mostly mix their syntax, which ultimately leads to error. For example, sometimes I use Python or Java syntax in C++ or vice versa. So what is your suggestion so I can cope up with this?
Okay, you are basically when you start learning Java, when you code in Java, that is human tendency to basically type Java in everything. So that is the problem you're asking?
Yes, sir. Like I usually mix syntax. Like I am doing Python, and I sometimes use Java, or Java I am using C++.
So I'll tell you one thing. So in Android development also, there are two languages, Kotlin and Java. So most new projects are using Kotlin only. So like we do code in Kotlin only then. So sometimes what we have to do is we have to go back to some Java code, some project which is using Java, like some old project, some bank related projects which are using Java, okay, like HDFC and all. So then also we also make these mistakes. We also make these mistakes when writing Java. We write Kotlin only. So I guess this is a very common mistake, and it doesn't matter in long run. Like if you know the basics, like how Java works, then it doesn't matter.
Okay, sir. The more question is like on LinkedIn, there was an internship opportunity from Hike, in which one eligibility criteria was that applicant should be from allied institute. So why this happened? What, according to you, will lead to which companies are like putting these type of eligibility criteria in their internship requirements?
Correct. Okay. So see, most companies, most product-based companies only prefer these elite college students, because they are getting this exposure of data structures and algorithms. They are getting this exposure of competitive coding. So in IITs and NITs, in DTUs, you will see that they are very much into this competitive coding and all. So the companies want people who can make things faster, who can uh, reduce the memory of their app, reduce the memory and make things faster, as I've said. So they hope that they will find some bright students there. That's why they pick those kind of colleges. But there is a chance, if you submit your resume, and if your resume stands out. See, there are students who don't even learn in IITs also. So it doesn't matter if you are from a tier 3 college or a tier 1 college. If your skills are upright, then, and if you can make your resume stand out by doing some good projects, and yeah, you are good to go then. I will suggest you. Yeah.
Though I am not from an allied institute, can you have mentioned earlier that the certificate doesn't matter, but in these situations, can certificates be helpful? Like I am doing certificates from foreign universities, can it be helpful for me when there is an eligibility that you should be from an allied?
Okay. So as I've said, certificates doesn't matter in interviews or clearing them. So if you are putting up them on LinkedIn, okay, so people are confused about why are my Udemy certificates valid? Are my Udemy certificates valid, or these course certificates are valid? So that is what I'm saying is the company or the certificate from where did you did that thing, or your internship certificate really doesn't matter, because if you are having that skill, okay, it will matter only when you are putting them on LinkedIn. And those are like, if you are putting some 10-20 certificates in your LinkedIn, so every recruiter will definitely check your profile and check that okay, this guy is dedicated towards this course or this field. So yeah, in that way it kind of helps you to recognize your portfolio. Yeah. But yeah, everything is not certificates, so you should learn your skills basically. Yes.
So I have around 10 to 12 certification in Python, and with same in like data structures too. So what do you think? Should I approach randomly to any recruiter for internship on LinkedIn?
Okay. I will suggest you to do that. Okay. So there is called something cold emailing. So what you have to so cold emailing is basically mailing or requesting some person or basically introducing yourselves to them when you don't know that person. So that is called cold mailing. So you should do that often. You should see one thing. If you want to find jobs in LinkedIn, I will suggest you can start searching these positions, the fresher positions, and under that there is a recruiter name. So I'll suggest you go to their profile and text them like be kind and text them because you don't know them. So request them to refer you or yeah. So connect to as many recruiters as you can. If you are checking some recruiters profile, I guess that is very beneficial for you. You should try contacting them. Okay, and most other than everything, you should focus on building your profile. You should at least build your LinkedIn profile good. So I can share my profile link and you can take some help from that if you want. Okay.
Okay, sir.
So I have added in this chat. You can definitely check out. Okay.
So what are the tips or tricks to make our resume better or to approach any company?
Okay. Approach any company. Okay. So search about how can I okay, there are so many formats you can ask the recruiter. So one tip I like to I have given that search recruiters. Like if you want to join some company, if you like some company like Amazon, so search for Amazon, go to their LinkedIn page, go to the people's page where they add that who are like who people are working in Amazon, and go to their profiles. Like see what I have done is in my graduation, I used to do the same, and I send some 100 or 200 connection requests to everyone. And in that connections, I find that maybe one or two guys like to refer me, so they used to refer. So things work like that. And definitely your skill matters, your resume matters. They also check your resume. If they find it useful, then only they will refer you. So yeah.
Should we have to add non-paid or unpaid internships and other things in the
See,
resume?
non-paid or unpaid internships or paid internships are not different, I guess. Yeah, definitely. See, those will not matter in long run. You are doing a paid internship or an unpaid internship. The experience matters. What you have learned in that internship. If you are doing internship with some good company, or you can mention that what you have done while doing that internship. If you have made something faster, you have optimized something. So that will definitely add up to your resume. That will enhance your resume. That will make you stand out. So yeah. So unpaid internships doesn't matter. Like you can add them.
But sometimes it may exceed from one page. So what is better, exceeding from one page or adding them?
Okay. I have done 2 internships, 3 hackathons, and I am managing the resume in one page after my 2.5 years of experience. And I'll suggest you to manage the space and make it a one-page resume. You can do it. You just have to cut out some. Like you can also find some templates. Okay, I will suggest you to head over to overleaf.com. So they have some free templates. You can try it out, and yeah, you can make your one-page resume. Yeah, you should make your resume in Markdown or something like that, which in LaTeX you can try, so that yeah, your resume will be in one page. Yeah, anyone asking question?
So, for now, I know 3 languages. Okay. In 2 language, I feel that I am too proficient and I'm confident that I can do too many things in them. But in third language, I'm itself not confident. I really don't have confidence on Java, but I am confident with C++ and Python. Should I put Java in my resume, as I only know basics and I'm not too confident with it?
Okay, you can also add your proficiency level in your resume, but definitely that will add up to your space. Okay, so there is also technique. You can also add Java in your resume. When the interviewer asks you, like, do you know Java or some questions in Java, you can tell him that, like, I know basics of Java and I don't know much about Java, but I am very much proficient in other languages. So you can ask questions around them. Yeah, you can do it like that. I have done it like that. So yeah.
So let's take a scenario and an example. Like I have put Java, C++, and Python in my resume, and then interviewer gave me a question. I had done it in
Okay.
C++. Will interview force me to do it in Java too? Like, I have done it in C++. I have submitted my solution, and my solution is pretty good and it's efficient according to him too. But will he say like you have put Python in your resume? You have to do it in that too.
No, they will not ask questions like that. They will only check that what logic you have applied, how much time complexity of that program was. So yeah, things like that. But language doesn't matter.
Okay, sir. One thing that I have noticed too many times that when I was doing applications on strings in Python, I found that there are too many methods for strings, like to upper, lower, upper, and in Java there are too many methods for string again. Plus, there were also. Should we learn those methods? Like there are numerous.
Okay, got your point. Okay, when so as I've said, implement some projects and do some competitive coding. When you do those, you will definitely be around these basic methods which you implement in strings or something like that. Okay, but it is not mandatory to learn all these. Okay, if unless you know that something like that, some function is there to make your characters uppercase and lowercase. If you know them, I guess you are good to go. You don't need to learn it by heart. Like, okay, got my point?
Yes.
Yeah.
So when I was doing an ML like project, like it was my first ML project, then see what I was doing, like I was forgetting everything. When I was using Panda, I was like, mixing the syntax. Then I just copied my code from Stack Overflow or like some other page from Google. Is it right? Well, it's only what I am doing, or too many people are doing the same.
Okay, copying code from Stack Overflow, we also do that. So in software development job, you will also do that. That is not so. As I've said, logic only matters. It only matters that if you have that skill, if you know things, if you know your things, the syntax doesn't matter. Okay. Basically, as I've said, language doesn't matter unless your basics are good. Like, see, if you are learning Java, then you are learning OOPS. So the OOPS concept in each and every language are the same. If you are learning C# or if you are learning Python, if you are learning C++, in each and every language, the OOPS concepts are same. So yeah, ultimately it doesn't matter if you are copying the code from Stack Overflow or something, because some tricky bits are there which you cannot remember. So yeah.
Okay, it's mostly from my seniors or other people on LinkedIn. I get suggestions like, "Hey, Anurag, that you have to learn algorithm, you have to learn data structure." I know that they are important. The problem is like there are too many algorithms. Some of them are really, really hard, and I personally really can't remember all of these. So, what do you think? Should I learn some basics algorithm, or I have to learn everything by heart?
See, in that thing, in data structures, I will recommend you to learn the logic. Okay, if you are, if I have asked you a question like reverse a linked list, so do you know that if I ask you reverse a linked list?
Yes, sir.
Okay, great. Then you can code it in any language you want. That is the
Sir,
only
but the problem
requirement
is,
you know. Yeah.
like, uh, uh,
Okay, what
um,
algorithms are you finding difficult to remember? That is what I'm asking, basically.
like, I really can't list it. Like, it's too many. Like, ma'am, we know some. Like, I remember
Like,
some like basic
if
insertion
you are
sorters.
asking about Prem's Kruskal's, things like that.
So, sir, I'm not like remembered, sir, but it is in that list. Like Lee algorithm, Floodfill algorithm, like Candice algorithm,
Oh
Bellman's.
no. The I guess those algorithms are from different subject. I guess.
No, sir. I have got a book from my mentor. Like he's on YouTube, and like like he is like mentoring me. Like, but he suggested a
Okay.
book in his videos, or like I'm just following that because
Okay.
I really have a knowledge of how should I go on. So I follows his videos, and he's in top 3 programmers of the world. So according to his book was the algorithm. Book's name was the algorithm. So I like thoroughly reading it. There was too many algorithms. I really don't have an idea of what I'm doing, but still I'm like reading all the algorithm because he has mentioned it that any programmer should learn it. So there was the problem.
Okay. So basically, is the book suggested by someone was like the Corman?
No, sir. The book was the algorithm.
Okay. Okay. See, I don't know much about that book, but I'll suggest you. See, I have not remembered any algorithms, but I know how to make an algorithm. So yeah, that is. I made my problem solving clear. I made my problem solving stronger, so that I can solve any kind of problems. But I don't know any algorithms. Like I don't remember any algorithms by heart. See, so if you're talking about sorting, searching, those are easy basically. I guess you have to learn them by heart. Yeah. If you are talking about sorting algorithms like quick sort, partition sort, those algorithms you can learn by heart because yeah, definitely merge sort. There is so yeah, those things you can learn it by heart.
Okay, sir. So, like, you mentioned that we need to learn data structures. So, in C++, like, when we are using class, okay, we are doing queues using class. Like, our code will going to be like in too many lines. But when we are using STL, like, it's just a fraction of second, and we are using queue. So, it's better to use STL, or like we have to do it like in a longer version. Like, we are going to use classes for making queues or dequeues.
You should make your own custom classes. Say, we use inbuilt classes like STL in our projects. So that is only for professional use. I'll suggest. Okay. If you are doing C++ for any company, you are coding in C++ for any company, you should use STL because they handle all the error test cases and every other case optimization they handle. But I will suggest if you are a student, you should learn about the core crux of them, how those things work in STL. Okay, so I guess there are files, the supporting libraries, the STL libraries, which you can find out and which you can open the file and you can see what is the code inside. So I'll suggest you to do that.
Okay, thank you, sir.
Okay, so I guess there are no more questions now.
Okay.
So on behalf of everyone, I would like to thank Mr. Yashwant sir for giving his precious time to us, for sharing his experience and for solving our doubts so calmly and patiently. It was very interesting, informative and a worthwhile experience. Your hard work, determination and dedication towards your goal and career has motivated us a lot, and it was an honor to have you here, sir. And I would also like to express my gratitude to Mr. Keshav sir, IIC President, and our academic team, Dr. Neha Tyagi ma'am, for providing us this platform, for giving us this opportunity, and where we can all interact with our alumni. So that's it. And lastly, I would like to thank all the participants for joining us and for their the continued cooperation with us throughout the webinar. And thank you for being so patient. That's it. Thank you, sir.
Okay.
Thank you, sir.
And definitely, if anybody comes up with any of the questions, if you want to ask, I'm available on LinkedIn. You can ping me whenever you want. Okay? I will be very happy to help you.
Sir, I'm going to like send you a connection request. Will you please review my LinkedIn profile? My name is Anurag.
Definitely.
I'm Anurag.
Okay,